Television is one of the most profitable and influential inventions of the 20th century. It created global media empires, advertising markets worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and changed the way humanity sees the world. But the man who first created true electronic television died almost penniless and without mass recognition. His name was Philo Farnsworth. Philo was born in 1906 in a small community in Utah into a Mormon farming family. He grew up without electricity, yet from an early age he was fascinated by technology. At 12, he disassembled and rebuilt an electric motor. At 13, he wired his family's farm for electricity, even though almost no one around them had power. In 1921, Philo was only 14 years old. He was helping his father plow a field. As he looked at the straight, parallel furrows in the soil, he suddenly realized a principle that would change the world. Any image could be broken into lines and transmitted sequentially, line by line, point by point, just as a field is cultivated strip by strip. It was a revolutionary insight. At the time, most scientists believed electronic television was impossible. All major laboratories were working on mechanical systems, spinning Nipkow discs, mirrors, lenses, rotating drums. These systems were slow, unstable, produced blurry images, and had physical limits that could not be overcome. Farnsworth thought differently. He proposed a fully electronic system. With no moving parts, light would be converted into an electron stream, scanned line by line, and reconstructed as an image on a screen. At school, he drew the diagram of such a system on a classroom blackboard. His physics teacher, Justin Tolman, saw it. This moment would later become a decisive piece of evidence in court. In 1924, Farnsworth enrolled at Brigham Young University, but financial hardship forced him to leave. He moved to California, where he set up a small laboratory with the help of investors. There was almost no money, the equipment was primitive, but the idea was already complete. On September 7, 1927, at the age of 21, Philo Farnsworth transmitted the first fully electronic image in history. It was a simple white line on a black background, but it was enough. Television worked. In 1930, he received the key patent for an electronic television system. The patent officially recognized Farnsworth as the inventor of electronic image scanning, and at that moment, a giant entered the game, RCA, the Radio Corporation of America, the most powerful media and technology company in the United States. Behind it stood David Sarnoff, a man who had already built a radio empire and saw television as the next gold mine. RCA did not want to buy the invention. RCA wanted to control television entirely. The company claimed that the real inventor of electronic television was its own engineer, Vladimir Zworykin. Zworykin had indeed worked on television tubes, but none of his early systems actually worked. Moreover, in 1929, he personally visited Farnsworth's laboratory and saw a functioning electronic system with his own eyes. One of the longest and most expensive patent battles in the history of technology began. RCA deployed dozens of lawyers, expert witnesses, political influence, and endless legal delays. Their goal was not to win fairly, but to financially exhaust the inventor. Farnsworth was forced to defend himself almost alone. Investor money disappeared into legal fees. But in 1935, a turning point came. The court called an unexpected witness, the same school teacher, Justin Tolman. Under oath, he confirmed that Farnsworth had drawn the principles of electronic television years earlier while still a teenager, long before RCA's claims. The court ruled in Farnsworth's favor. RCA was forced to pay licensing fees. But the war did not end. It dragged on for years. Constant lawsuits, appeals, and legal pressure drained Farnsworth emotionally and physically. He suffered from depression, health problems, and alcoholism. Meanwhile, RCA did what it did best. It scaled the idea. By the late 1930s, RCA controlled U.S. television broadcasting standards. After World War II, television became a mass consumer product. In the 1950s, millions of television sets were sold every year in the United States. RCA earned hundreds of millions of dollars annually, the equivalent of tens of billions in today's money. Farnsworth received only licensing royalties, no empire, no control over the market. In 1947, the key patents expired. Television became free technology. From that moment on, Farnsworth earned nothing from his own invention. He tried to work on new technologies, including nuclear fusion and advanced electronic systems. But without corporations, capital, or government backing, those ideas never reached commercialization. His name gradually disappeared from public memory. He saw a television set in almost every home and knew it was his idea. Philo Farnsworth died in 1971 at the age of 64, without an empire, without billions, without mass recognition. When a journalist once asked his wife how he felt watching television, she replied, "He never watched it. He said that inside that box was his life." This is not a story about failure, and it is not just a story about genius. It is a real story about the central rule of big business. An idea is only the beginning. Money, power, and influence go not to the one who invents, but to the one who controls scale.